Good morning. It's 10 a.m. on December 19, 2023. We'll call to order the meeting of the Story County Board of Supervisors. Please stand with me if you're able to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have one small change to the agenda today. We need to make a correction to item 4 under consent. Agreement with Garden and Associates needs to read 45,900. There was an extra 0 in there. So with that Scrivener's correction, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda with the changes noted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Merkin.
Aye.
Hens.
Aye.
Basil. Aye. Now it's time for public comment number 1. This comment period is for the public to address topics on today's agenda. Anyone wishing to make public comment, you can step forward to the table or raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing no one step forward or raise their hand, we'll close public comment number 1 and move to retirement recognition for Tammy Lehman. Is it Lehman? Lehman. Good. Okay. For 24 years of service. And I believe we have Treasurer Ted Rasmussen. Did you want to step forward? We should actually get a microphone.
Quick.
Walking microphone. Tammy, did you want to come forward?
Did you want to give a speech? I just wanted to say that Tammy has been a great employee, incredibly productive over her 24 years at the county. And she is kind of a milestone. She is our last clerk that started all the way back when the desks were split and you had to go left if you wanted property tax and right if you wanted motor vehicle. So she has seen the courthouse back when it was the courthouse and the treasurer's office before the remodel. So once she moves on in a couple of weeks, we'll just have Artie left from those times. But Artie's not leaving for like 8 more years. So thank you, Tammy, for a great 24 years and all of those titles that have your name and all of those property tax payments processed over the years.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
I also just want to comment that, you know, there's a wealth of experience and information that you have gathered in your beautiful mind over these 24 years, and it's greatly appreciated. And you have helped so many people over the years with things they didn't understand and questions they didn't know they had until they walked in. And you, like everyone else in your office, are able to talk people down when they're in really challenging situations. And I know you have touched many, many, many people over the past 24 years, and it means a lot. And the fact that you have been with the county for 24 years means a tremendous amount. So thank you so much for everything you have done for everyone that you have helped.
Thank you.
I do want to add that we got her first.
Oh,
6 months.
6 months. Okay, so we had it seemed like 2 years back in the day.
Yes. Thanks, Lisa.
thank you, Tammy. Does anybody else want to make any comment? Okay, well. We have a plaque if you'd like to come up here. Or we can come down here and you can all like stand here if you are.
Let's have to see.
You want to stand in the middle and hold it?
Tammy needs to hold
Oh, yeah,
this.
you're right.
Maybe one or two that get in front and shorter people.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Well, thanks.
There you go.
Goodness, I can't see you.
Find your
window, find your window. Are we centered?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 1, 2.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Tammy. Thank you.
Spread all over. Oh, here, this leaf, Tammy. Keep it dust free, fingerprint free. Just have to say all the time in my experience in the county attorney's office, working with people who had to get their registration and everything. Tammy was, and everyone in the treasurer's office. I just can't say enough good. I'm a little lost now. We are on to agency reports. Central Iowa RSVP annual report. I believe we have Kaylin. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having us. I've got Laura here with me too. I'd like to introduce Laura Severson. She's our newest staff person, currently serving as our office coordinator, but over the next couple of years will be transitioning into the director's position. So I told her, I said, well, you probably better hang out with me while I'm doing this today. So anyway, so good morning. Thanks for having us. I think you got a hard copy of our annual report, hopefully. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Thank
So
you.
I'll just cover a few of the highlights. Obviously, our 50th anniversary celebration was in 2023, which was great to celebrate, that milestone with our program, going back a lot of years, starting here in Story County. So that was kind of a highlight of our 2023. As far as some of our programming, our transportation program that we provide, which is our volunteer drivers that provide rides to medical appointments and other essential services. The majority of our clients are elderly adults that are just trying to remain living independently. The number of clients that we've served over the last couple of years is pretty much maintained and stayed at roughly the 70, 75 range. But this last fiscal year, we did see more trips. So we had 54 more round trips, or between 55 and 60 more round trips, about 3,000 more miles that our volunteers drove. So even though the number of clients was roughly the same, maybe even a couple less, the number of trips that were requested still kept us really busy. So, and obviously we've seen that increase and come back up again post-COVID. So that's been good. And then this last year too, another kind of cool thing is that our volunteer drivers and our grocery delivery volunteers received a governor's volunteer award, a group award. So that was kind of nice to be able to recognize them in that way and thank them for what they do. And then the grocery delivery service that you'll see featured over in the middle pages over on the right was something that we started in 2021 in partnership with Heartland. And I just want to highlight that has grown quite a bit from the previous fiscal year. In 21-22, we had 140 deliveries for 8 clients. And this past fiscal year, we had 274 deliveries for 14 clients. So that just continues to grow. The idea is to help make sure that people that are isolated, homebound, maybe aren't able to drive or don't have the support system to help them either get to the grocery store. If they can actually grocery shop, our volunteer drivers will take them. But these are folks that typically really do need to have the assistance and have those groceries delivered. So, and that's a service that obviously it's a free service that we provide. That we have, I think we have about 29 volunteers over the last year that have helped with that service. So we're going to continue that. Coming up in 2024, we are excited that we will have space in the new 60 Forward Center that Heartland Services of Story County obviously is building and it's coming along great. So that's just going to work really well for us. We actually are sharing office space with them currently in Ames with their outreach staff at our office on Crystal. So it's just great for us because we do a lot of things in partnership with Heartland. But also it's going to save us, financially, it's going to save us money by being in that space, but also just having, I think, access to a more robust population of seniors. So I think it's just going to be a win-win for us. So we're excited about that. I'm not excited about moving an office again. That part, not too thrilling, but we are very happy that we're going to be able to do that. Other than that, I just want to thank you very much for your support of RSVP and of our volunteers, and just would welcome any questions that you might have, either from the annual report or from anything else that you might be curious about. But so in that, I'll close. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you for everything you do. You do so many different things and you touch many lives, and particularly that you're able to help people stay independent in their homes. That is, and also have companionship. That is really huge.
Thank
So,
you, Linda.
Thanks for to all your volunteers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I do just want to make a comment. I'm glad to see that the grocery delivery program is growing. Certainly it's been identified as a necessary needed service. So thank you for taking that on.
Thank you.
And-
Another thing too, I forgot to mention was that our education programming this past year, we've been able to restore more of our programming that was sort of derailed during COVID. So this past year, we actually increased the number of students that were served by 35%. So we're glad to see that going in a better direction as well.
That's great. Well, I just want to echo everything Lisa and Linda have said, and then also just comment on the driver program. It's tremendously important, and just glad to see that that's continuing, because like Linda said, it really supports people staying independent. So thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for your
Lisa.
work and for your report.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a great day.
Nice to meet you, Laura.
Yeah. Thanks.
Go here. You'll see her again.
Yep. Great.
Mhm.
Thank you. Next, we have consideration of minutes from December 12, 2023.
I move approval of minutes as presented.
Second,
Moved and seconded, Hens.
Aye.
Merkin.
aye.
Basil, aye. Consideration of personnel actions.
I would move approval of the personnel action as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Merkin.
Aye.
Hens.
Aye.
Basil, aye. Consideration of claims.
I move approval of claims as presented.
Second,
Moved and seconded, Hens.
Aye.
Merkin.
aye.
Basil, aye. Consent agenda.
I move approval of the items listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Merkin.
Aye.
Hens.
Aye.
Basil, aye. Moving now to public hearing items, we have second consideration of ordinance 313, amending certain boundaries of official zoning map of Story County, Iowa Underwood rezoning.
Thank you. So I have basically the same PowerPoint presentation as last week, so we can go over anything if you have questions, but Bryce, otherwise, if you want to skip to the last slide with the alternatives. Just prepared a brief staff memo, just as a reminder, this is a rezoning request for just a portion of a property off of North Dayton Avenue, just at that intersection of North Dayton and 190th, to move from A1 agricultural to AR agricultural residential to facilitate possible future expansion of a subdivision to the south. So we didn't receive any public comment at the December 12th public hearing, and staff from Planning and Development has also not received any further public comment. So we are recommending or asking that the board approve ordinance 313 and waive third consideration. But if you have any questions, I can answer those.
I don't have any questions.
I have no questions.
All right, I don't have any either, so we'll go ahead and open public hearing. Anyone wishing to make public comment on this issue? Raise your hand on Zoom if we have anyone, or step forward to the table. Do we have anyone? Okay. So seeing no one step forward or raise their hand, we'll close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion.
I think it's me. I move to approve ordinance 313 amending certain boundaries of the official zoning map of Story County on second consideration and waiving third consideration.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Hens.
Aye.
Merkin.
Aye.
Basil, aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Under additional items, we have discussion and consideration of FY25 asset budget requests. Morning, Sandra.
Like it hasn't been that long ago since I've been here with this. So before you today are the FY25 budget requests. So this is the time of year that the board determines the amount of funds to make available to the asset process. Last year, the board made $1,754,573 available. And this included a 5% increase to general basic and no increase to local option or public health. Each year, agency requests far exceed what can be funded. This year, agency requests for county funds available for FY24, they exceed those funds by about 10% and exceed last year's agency budgets by about 16%. While I have requested an 8% increase to general basic, this would come to only about a 4.4% increase overall if that's approved. Other funders have made an increase to additional funds available to asset, or the United Way made a 3% increase, the City of Ames a 5% increase. Also requested today is a 5% increase for asset administrative services, and this is to cover the asset administrative assistant salary, website, scorecard, and related expenses. So I just wanted to call the board's attention to some of the new requests that we received this year. So if you take a look at line 13 for ACPC, they have made a $10,000 request for infant daycare. Now, the board has funded ACPC in the past for childcare services, but has not been requested to fund infant until this year, this FY. And so this would be for FY25. Good Neighbor has requested funding for emergency food vouchers. Again, it's not an agency that's new to asset. The board, the county has not funded, provided asset services to Good Neighbor, has not been requested. This is the first request for those services. The Salvation Army is requesting funding for temporary emergency shelter hotel vouchers. They have provided that service as sort of a backup to emergency shelter that the Bridge Home provides. However, that's been funded by donations. And this is the first request to any of the asset funders. Similarly, the Salvation Army has another new service, vehicle maintenance and repair program. And this is a brand new request to asset as well. Are there any questions or any of the information that I've presented?
I have a question, Sandra. I know you said the request of general basic at 8%, but and overall it's about a 4% or 4.5% increase. When you said that United Way did 3% or the City of Ames did 5%, I appreciate the sheet that you provided here.
Yeah.
So were they providing like 8% or 9% that did it overall made it 5%, or was it 5% based on your sheet here that makes it look more like a 2.1% increase? Understand what I'm saying?
I don't, but I don't.
Like on this sheet here, you show 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you have 5% increase, but then you have overall that it's 2.1%. I'm just seeking clarification.
Okay, thank you for your question. The increase that I have, the increases that I have listed across the board there are just for general basic. And that is to give you an idea of how much additional funding that percentage increase would bring. Neither the United Way nor the city is listed on this particular sheet. And then at the bottom where I list percent change, that is the percent in the overall change of the funding that the board would make available to the asset process.
And that's because public health went down.
Public health decreased, and I would be only asking for a $394 increase to local option.
And the funds for public health, those do not come from general basic, then where do they come from?
Public health funds.
Okay.
And they, MGMC is really the only agency that those funds are made available to.
Right. Okay.
So when you say United Way did 3% and the city did a 5%, does that equate to your recommendation of 8%? Or
I'm recommending an 8% increase to general basic only, which only increases the overall amount by 4.4%.
and you're saying United Way did an overall of 3% and the city did an overall of 5%?
Yes, that's correct.
That was kind of the question I was trying to ask, but
That's what
obviously
that's
wasn't
where I
quite
thought,
asking it real well.
that's where I thought you were going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where we were in relationship to our other funders.
And the confusion with all these different percentages and funds is that we're talking about 3 separate funds, whereas the United Way and the city
Do it as
are
one.
talking about.
Just have a total.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I really appreciate the way you have it broken down. I think for me, that really helps kind of delineate where the increases are. And then that overall increase of 4.44%, I think is totally reasonable.
So last year was what again? 5%?
Last year, there was a 5% increase to general basic, no increase to local option, and public health had a 3% increase. Public health had no increase.
Okay. So
You're looking for the overall overlap
I'm just,
over FY 23.
yeah,
Over FY 23, that increase came to about a 3.83% difference when you compare it to FY 24.
are there any so this would fund all the requests as they were made? It would not.
This will not fund all the requests, and
Ones-
it's always this way.
Which
The-
ones would it not fund, or are there any significant ones that would not be?
Well,
That would be the asset team making that determination.
Yeah, that's a whole process that takes place in January.
Okay,
So, but the amount of funds that the board makes available to the process will provide the volunteers some flexibility to fund some of these additional requests that are being made.
The only concern I have, and I know 8% and the overall is 4.4%, is the tax levy being reduced of what we can collect for this year and sustainability future year. That's my concern. And that's going to be my concern when we do budget work sessions and any other group that wants to come before us. That's going to be my concern. And gosh, I know these agencies are struggling or will continue to struggle as well, but I also want to make sure we don't get to a point where we're, having to make drastic cuts because we've overcommitted ourselves. That's just a concern that I have.
I'm concerned with the same thing and always and I understand the asset process and we have to make the decision now, but it seems like we're making a decision separate from all the budget work sessions we're going to go into, and we know that the legislation from last session is probably going to significantly impact the increases that we're going to be able to get in funding. And we've already got a couple new positions that we'll annualize next year. So I'm concerned at going to the maximum. I don't disagree that these are good programs. I don't disagree that the agencies need funding. But I just know we're going to be juggling so much, and to be going into budget work sessions. I would be more comfortable in about the middle of this range, I think.
What is the middle that you're looking at?
Well, it would be about, I would say if we went the overall 2.89%. Because that still gives 6% increase on the general basic. I mean, you're the fact that public health is going down so much allows more money to go elsewhere. So if we did something like 3%, 2.89 or 3%, that would give a little over 6% to the agencies, is the way I'm reading it, average. And last year we did 5%.
And United Way is doing 3% overall, and City of Ames 5% overall, or 5% for general basic.
They don't separate it out
They
like
don't
that.
separate it out.
It'd be overall.
3%
Yeah.
United Way, 5% city.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
And I mean, we're talking percentages. If you look at the difference, we're talking about, if we went with the 6, that's a little over $50,000 increase, and the 8 would be about a $78,000 increase. So the difference between the two is
30,000.
30,000.
Half a position is what that would equate to, probably.
I was actually looking more at the 5%, but would be open to the 6%.
You were looking at the 5 as opposed to the 6.
Yeah, I mean, I get and understand the need, but I struggle with the 8.
I think we need to be looking at the 2.1, 2.8, and 4.4. I think that's what we need to be looking at.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying.
I think the percent
change.
increase, or the percent change to general basic, I think was given just for extra clarification, but I think what we need to be using to make our decision would be the percent change overall.
The bottom line.
Right, because the
agree.
public health funds come from the general fund also.
Mhm. Okay. Just a second, I need to get back to my agenda. So I would move, are we ready for a motion?
Sure.
I would move that we do a 6% increase on the general basic. And which would equate to, I guess I'm not gonna do the math. A 6% increase on the general basic as shown on the spreadsheet. The 21,430 or the 900, excuse me, the $394 increase on the local option.
Oh.
No,
Go ahead.
and 31,250 decrease on public health, which would mean an overall 2.89%. Is that how you wanted that motion? If not, I'll withdraw it.
It can work.
Tried to follow what you got us put there for a formula.
And then admin services. Is that part of the overall?
That's not part of the numbers that I've given you. That's a separate increase. Then I'm requesting 5% to the Asset Administrative Services Fund.
There hasn't been a second yet, so I'll add that 5%. What is the 5% increase? What is that?
It will take it from $7,833 to $8,225.
What's the increase?
5%.
5%. Okay, 5% increase to administrative services. I'm done with my motion now.
Okay, that's why I was waiting. Wasn't sure if you were. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Merkin,
Aye.
Hens.
Aye.
Hazel, aye.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We have no departmental reports or other reports. Any upcoming agenda items?
Don't have any.
Okay, now it's time for public comment number 2, comments from the public on items not on this agenda. The board may not take any action on comments due to requirements of open meetings law, but may do so in the future. Anyone wishing to make public comment, you can step forward to the table. Doesn't look like we have anyone on Zoom. Seeing no one step forward or hop on Zoom, we will close public comment number 2 and move to liaison assignments, committee meeting updates and announcements from the supervisors. Supervisor Merkin?
Sure. This afternoon, I have a Storycom board meeting in Ames. Tomorrow morning, I have a meeting on a bylaws committee that is revising the MIPA bylaws. Friday, all day, I've got interviews for Planning and Zoning Commission. And then in the afternoon, Les White, who's currently our Public Health Director, there's a reception for her at Mary Greeley, and I plan on attending that. I will be off from the 22nd through the rest of the month then.
Great. Supervisor Hens?
Yep, I have 2 asset interviews this afternoon. I have a CICS Adult Advisory Committee meeting. Tomorrow morning, I have a meeting with Mike over for conservation. In the afternoon, I'll be in Des Moines all afternoon with the Workforce Strategic Planning meeting. Thursday, I have a school resiliency team meeting in the afternoon. I will be here Thursday, Friday.
Today I have a NACO Central Region meeting this afternoon and then Story County Housing Trust meeting. This evening I have a SURHA meeting in Des Moines. Tomorrow I have, I'm doing a Civil Service Commission interview in the morning. And then we've got a wellness team meeting in the afternoon. Thursday morning, I will be on KHOI. If you have anything you'd like me to share, let me know. I will be in the office all day, Thursday and Friday. I've been invited to join the NACO Rural Action Caucus. So I'll have my first Rural Action Caucus meeting Thursday afternoon, a DEIB meeting. I think the Hunger Collaboration meeting has been canceled, but I'm not sure. That's also Thursday. And Friday, it looks like I'm pretty open on my calendar for Friday. Wow. But I will be here in the office all day. Other than that, anything else?
No meeting next week.
And no meeting next week. Right.
I want to know that.
Thank you for the reminder there.
So our next meeting will be our organizational meeting on January 2nd.
Yes. Come one, come all.
I move we adjourn.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Hens.
Aye.
Merkin.
aye.
Basil, aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.